will now officially start this specific webinar that we're doing, the first webinar. The why webinar is what we called it. So why do we save and share food? Yeah, we thought it'd be good to start off with the topic of why do we save and share food, because everything else that we will also going to talk about is related to that, right? Why do you guys actually do the work that you're doing? There's so many factors that are relevant, right? From economic purposes to environmental building community, right? So many factors that will come into play and that you will be hearing about now from our two presenters. So yeah, without further ado, I think Alex, because you were not in Dublin, you unfortunately could not join us. We'll start with you, so you can briefly also share some words with them on yourself, on Borume, and then tell us why you share and save food. But welcome, and the floor is all yours.
Fantastic question. Why we share food? I mean, I've been doing this for 11 years, and I really, for the first time in a couple of years, I had to think about it. It's a very ontological question, and yeah, the main reasons that I've categorized in these four aspects are, yeah, I mean, I started thinking about it really basically, and I thought that, you know, people like to share food because it is instinctively the most humane thing you can do. I mean, when you meet someone who is hungry, at least for me, my first thought is, if I have something that I can give to this person, I will give it. And I think most people out there are exactly like that. So it's a very instinctively humane thing to do. And if you think about it, the whole humanity that we have around us has evolved around sharing food. I mean, we started from sharing the hunt that we had back in the caves, and now family or business dinners, or when we go out with friends, eating and sharing food with other people is essential to a human existence. So if you can categorize four reasons, broadly four reasons, big four reasons, I think it's the environmental, social, economic, and cultural. Environmental, sharing food and reducing food waste is a very important environmental thing to do, and it has become apparent in the past years. When we started, it wasn't that clear, but in the past 6, 7, 8 years, it has become so obvious. It is one of the most important thing you have to do if you want to do something about climate change and the environment. Social, I already touched upon it. It's 11 years, we've given more than 70 million portions of food in Greece. I've never met one single person who told me, you know what, I like you guys, but I really prefer to throw the food in the garbage instead of giving it to a person. So yeah, it's the very natural thing to do. When you have food that is, you have food surplus, you will think that you would like to give it. It's not easy very often, and I'm going to touch upon this later on, but your instinct is to give it. And then the economic, of course, we did a research here last year in Greece, and it was incredibly to observe from the research how the economic issue is very important, especially last year with all the inflation. When you say to people how much the value is of the food that people are throwing away, then it's a really strong incentive to reduce food waste. And the cultural thing, and I say this, it's weird, I'm half Greek, half German, I need to say this, so I grew up between two cultures, and I can relate to the cultural differences of at least Europe, that, you know, in some places, being economic, being very careful with your resources, it is written in the DNA of a culture. So it's more closer to some cultures than in others. You can guess that in Greece it's not that obvious in our culture, but we're trying to change that. So these are the broad categories that I could come up with. And so the second question that I got was how this food saving and sharing relates to Borume. So, you know, by origin, our organization, Borume means we can in Greek, by the way, I need to say this, sorry. By origin, we will always be, and by origin, we are a pure food saving and sharing organization. Our statutory reason, our reason of existence is to reduce food waste and share it with people in need in Greece. This is how we started back in 2011, when we realized that there is a there's an enormous negative oxymoron around us. So back then in the economic crisis in Greece, we had more and more people facing food insecurity, but at the same time, you had still an enormous food waste going on in this country. We like to say here that we are generous with food. What I say is we're wasteful with food. But, so our origin is 100% social. And that is a bit different than most NGOs, food saving NGOs I've met in the world. So as soon as we realized, that there are vast amounts of food waste around us, but little awareness and sensitivity about this issue, we realized that it wasn't actually very easy for a company, be it small or big, actually to save food and bring it and give it from point A to point B where it was needed. We saw that the existing food bank saving model, which works good in many places, needs most of its money for storing and moving stuff from one way to the other. And the second thing is they're not capable, or not, it's not very easy often to them to save and share fresh food. So this being Greece, it was really important to think about fresh food, because there's so much fresh food being produced every day here. So that's why we came up with this innovative direct food saving model that connects directly food donors with of every kind of food, and with the most suitable charities, which collect the food donation themselves under the terms set by the food donor. In other words, this makes it extremely easy for somebody to give, and that's why we believe that it has worked. Extremely easy, not only for the food donor to give, but also for the charity to receive. So very, very briefly, we started with this model that I mentioned. We have started with 12 cheese pies 11 years ago, and we've given more than 70 million portions of food, which is crazy that I'm saying it, because sometimes I don't believe it myself. And for every €1 of operational cost, we are able to save and share 55 meals on average. Every day it's about 30 to 32,000 portions of food. So this is how we started, from this very basic model that actually worked very good. And from there we went on to create many different programs that all have to do with food saving and food sharing. We created programs, gleaning programs. We created programs to save food from farmers markets, and then all the awareness raising programs, educational programs that we have done, the national alliance that we have created and are coordinating, and finally the certification that we have created with TÜV Austria here in Greece. So very, very briefly, this is about Boru. I'm not going to stay much on this. So the next and the most important probably question about this webinar is, what have we learned from this beautiful endeavor so far? So first of all, it sounds very banal, but it's true. No one wants to waste food. So when people are wasting food, is for other reasons. It's for practical reasons. It's because they're not aware of it. It's because they don't realize, they don't know how to read food labels very well. They don't have the sensitivity to think that it's not good for the environment. Many reasons. So, but actually, nobody wants to throw food away. If it's possible, they would love to give it always to somebody in need. So that's the second lesson that we've learned, is that, and that is always obvious. It sounds obvious as well, but it is very true. The easier and safe and the more practical you can make it for somebody to save and share food, the higher the probability that they're going to do it. So this sounds also very plausible, but the fact that we have this experience speaks for itself. I can tell you one example of a big chain of bakeries here in Greece. They told us that before our collaboration, every night and every evening when they were closing their shop, at average, every store was throwing away 35 kilos of foodstuff, each one of them, which is crazy because they are all over the place here. And if you think about it, that it was happening every day, it's really crazy. But if you make it easy for them to give, then they will do it. And they've been doing it for a decade now. So the third thing that we know about food saving is that, saving it is very good, but reducing the creation of waste is even better. So that's why it's very important to continuously increase awareness and speak to people, and for all the reasons that it's good to reduce food waste, that people know about this. That is very important. For us also, being an organization that creates bridges of donation, it is of paramount importance that food safety will always be our #1 priority, for obvious reasons, by the way. I know that there are other ways to save food when you're doing it for yourself, dumpster diving, for example. But when we are responsible for people, for beneficiaries of charities, for example, then food safety has to be the highest priority, and it is for us. So the last thing that also sounds very banal, but it's also very, very true. We have a beautiful educational program where we speak to children almost every day. And it's whenever somebody tells me that, they're not feeling well, they're feeling depressed, etc., I tell them to come with us to a school and see what, after just 1 hour, how children, how you rewire their synapses, and they're thinking about food saving solutions and how important it is to help other people, etc. And it's really what gives us also hope, and also very, very much the dynamic that we need to go on every day. So going on to the last thing, the last question: what makes the life of a food saving warrior easier? This is how I've rephrased it, if you allow me. So yeah, when we started implementing our food saving model, which was absolutely new and nobody knew what this was, and we have a saying in Greece, they thought we are pink elephants every time we were speaking to people. It was really, really difficult to persuade partners, to collaborate with us. Also back then, there were the perception of food waste was not very high here. The awareness rate, the awareness level was not very high, and the environmental sensitivity was not very high as well. So, this has changed. It's still low, at least in Greece, but the ever increasing awareness about how important this issue is has been super, super helpful, for sure. And we see that, companies very often by themselves, they come to us and say, hey guys, we have so much food, and please help us give it to somebody who needs it. So this is making it easier, for sure. And obviously related to the first thing I was saying, that the fact that we have a proven and successful track record for 11 years now, this helps a lot, because, above everything, it is trust. And if somebody trusts you as an NGO, it is super important. By the way, big problem here in Greece that people don't trust NGOs. Again, it makes it, speaking to children makes our life easier, because they have been the best ambassadors that you can imagine. I mean, they go back to their households, to their families, and speak about this, and they are the best ambassadors that we have, with no exaggeration. What has helped us in the past 3 years is also that finally the state here has, has tried to create some kind of legal framework. I'm not talking about a good legal framework. I'm talking about a somewhat beginning of a legal framework that will help us, is already helping us a lot. And of course, the increased push of the European Union in at least the past 10 years, to research, discuss, and act about food waste and food sharing is also super helpful, because it creates the bigger, larger, positive environment about this. So that's about it from me. I think 10 minutes. I don't know how my time is. I hope I was within time.
Thank you very much, Alex. It's almost within time. But we do have 1 or 2 minutes left for questions, if there are any.
Super.
So yeah, just raise your hand or put it in the chat if you do have a question. Yes, I see one from Steffi and Leo. So yeah, and then okay, we have 2 questions. Raquel, you can also ask yours. Please do keep it short, because we really only have let's say about 2 minutes left. Steffi, you can go first.
Hi, Alexander. Thank you very much for this presentation. And the numbers, I really like numbers, because it supports me to have a visual. 30,000 participants, you said you are working with. How you manage to coordinate all of them?
It's 30,000 portions of food that we save and give to charities. We don't feed ourselves 30,000 people every day.
But with participants, you don't mean people who are supporting you in the infrastructure and the system of sharing.
No.
Okay.
Our core group is about 6 full-time people and 2 part-time people, and then we have many volunteers that help us for sure. On a yearly average, about 300 people, especially in the farmers market where we collect the food. But then we give it to charities, so we support the charities in their daily work of giving food for free to their beneficiaries. And by the way, all sorts of
And this is how you reach 30,000 people.
No. The food is measured into 30,000 portions of food. So yeah, more or less, it's about 30,000 people who eat from this food. Yeah.
And just in Athens, or you spread out in?
No.
That's the last question, Steffi.
Yeah. Sorry.
All over Greece. Sorry.
All over Greece. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then Raquel, one quick question from your side.
Hello, Alexander. Great to see you again, and we are still here. So 2 short questions. You mentioned you are gleaning in the farmers market, but are you also gleaning in the farms? And the second one is that you mentioned that citizens in Greece don't trust NGOs, and so I was wondering why and what are the factors of this trust.
Okay. So
two great questions, but because for time, please keep the answer short, Alexander.
Okay, we can do it also on our own with Raquel if it's too short. Don't worry. You want me to?
No, quick answer for everyone, and then if there's more details.
Okay, the first one, we try to glean from fields as well since 2014. You know that, and but it's very difficult for some reasons that we can discuss later. And people don't trust NGOs here because in general, the trust in this country is super low. It's the lowest of all OECD countries, unfortunately. There's not a lot of social trust in this country going on for many reasons, which I don't have time this day to explain. And NGOs, because there have been some scandals in the past, and media love to bash on NGOs in this country. So that is the shortest answer I can give you on that. Perdona.
Maybe, a lot of input for future discussions we might have. But thank you so much, Alex. We'll talk to you more in the breakout rooms about your challenge. But then for now, we're going to go to Zusammenleben and Steffi and Leo and your presentation.
Thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen. All right. Okay. Okay, everyone can see. Oops. Yes. Okay, perfect. Okay. Why do we save and share food? This presentation will be held by Leo and by me. I'm going to start with the wish for why do we do our work? I try to make a rush through this very big topic, and I really hope to be able to make a good overview. Okay, first of all, we really believe that humankind, global societies are facing multiple crises. And the main crisis we are facing right now is a social crisis, an ecological crisis if it comes to biodiversity, and of course, the climate crisis. And we also believe that this is because of our current system, economic system, our current social system, because it is functioning, or it is our current system increases our problem because it is based on growth, and it's based on exponential growth. And as we know, all our resources and of course our climate and our ecosystem is limited and is now brought to the limit they can bear. And it affects a lot of topics like medical care, health, energy, peace, all over the world, of course. But as we are working in the food sector, or in the as one actor of the food system, because our food system is created by a lot of actors, which you can see on the micro scale and the local scales. And we are one of the actors in our food system on a local scale. We can see that almost that our food system is connected to every topic I just named. And this is why I really loved the presentation of Alexander, because he was the introduction was the very natural thing to do, meaning sharing food, and I totally agree. It's the first natural thing to do for every living being is searching for food, finding food, sharing food, and if it comes to to people, is the capacity of producing food, of course, and inventing food and being creative with food, and this means community for us. And we really we believe that our food systems has to be rebuilt in a diverse and flexible way everywhere, because if it comes to this crisis, we can't adapt. The industrial food system is not diverse and it is not flexible, because it is working all around the globe for the same principles. And this is why we call for food sovereignty in a local meaning. Everyone should have, every country, every region has to have the possibility of adapting food systems in order to make them resilient and in order to prevent, because this is also something we really do believe, the possibility of breadbasket failure, so-called breadbasket failures. And if you're taking a look, unfortunately, at the current situation in Spain or in Italy, I don't know how the water situation is in Greece right now, but there is a very high possibility that this kind of breadbasket failures can take place in a very, very near future, also in Europe. And especially Spain does supply a lot of fruits and vegetables, for example, for the Middle European countries, and everything is related on this very, very far distances if it comes to handel, exchange. Yeah, if it comes to exchange products, and of course we still and we are relying on the food sources in other countries, and we are used to it, if you want so. And one very, very major thing is to support societies in being aware of these connections and being aware of that everyone in the end is playing a role in this food system, because it is on the one hand we as eaters that we are eating every day and we are sharing every day, and we are in a community or in a society which has a certain habits and daily uses of food. And of course, if it comes to the food system and the long food chain, in the end always will be someone who is excluded or who has to suffer under the current situation of the local food system, because it is so addicted to this ideas of global trade. Yes, and that's why Zusammenleben is working on community, because we do believe that we can find a solution in solidary societies and sustainable societies. And we do believe that food and food sharing is a very, very good tool to address these topics. And how we do it in our daily work, I will give the speech to Leo, and she's going to present it to you.
Thank you so much. Both, just a reminder, because I know you have a lot of slides left, because I've seen that you don't technically have that much time left. If you can just hurry up a bit. Thank you.
Okay, then let's jump immediately to the second slide. So what is it that we do? As Steffi said, we create community. We have two encounter spaces. We have our community garden, 3,500 square meters, and we have our Solidarity Cafe, and that is around 100 square meters. Then within our garden, 1/3 of our garden is for community gardening beds. We have around 130 people from 19 different countries, and we are also, it's very important for us to create a sustainable community, a solidarity community. So the people that have priority and access to these gardening beds are people with migrant, with refugee status, with handicaps. So people that actually that are a priori excluded from the community and wouldn't have access to such spaces. Then the other 2/3, it's open for everyone. Our garden is open for everyone, and it's an institution within our city. And all the resources are available for everyone. We have, every week, we have open, 1 time per week, open gardening sessions where everyone is welcome to exchange experience. And we have then our experts, here, one of them beside me. And it's again open to everyone to participate. Then we offer also regular workshops on different topics, ecological topics. And we also have community-based production where we produce products within our gardens, such as jams, such as wine leaves and soap and salt and so on. Then within our cafe, we have a solidarity lunch from 4 times per week, where we create a seasonal, local, as maximum as possible, and ecological meal that is actually accessible for everyone. This is what is very special of our cafe. We have a system that who has more money pays more, who has less pays less, and who cannot afford a meal, there is the possibility to offer a free meal. We work, this system works because we have a big, large intern community, volunteer community, and we have around 60 volunteers working in the cafe. And I would say we have how many volunteers in the garden, Steffi?
200.
200 volunteers in the garden that are active. Then another focus of our association, it's education and qualification. So we have a half-a-year program where we work with a team from people with migrant or refugee background that learn how to work in a professional kitchen and in our cafe, and learn also about the importance of sustainability and using ecological products. Then we have also an arts section, and there we have very different formats. We have almost on every 2 years a festival called Dear White People, where we address topics of anti-discrimination, racism, and also climate justice. We have also a children's cafe where we also talk about these topics for an appropriate age level. And we also have the climate kitchen, which we cook an international recipe, and we work with professional cooks and with migrant associations. And what we do is we try to translate this recipe with local products and seasonal. So what we would, we're open for all your questions, and should we already present our challenge? Yasmin, can you?
Maybe we can wait with the challenge for now. We don't really have a lot of time for questions, but if there's one or two urgent questions, we can of course address them. So if you have anything you want to ask at this moment, you can, again, by raising your hand or putting it in the chat. I don't see anything. Okay, then we'll maybe hold off with that in the breakout rooms if you have something that that can still be addressed to Steffi and Leo. But then thank you so much for your presentation for the time being. And then you can actually, since you have the slide open, you can jump into the challenge. So we will then move into the breakout rooms. And as I said, so both Steffi and Leo and Alex have prepared a challenge to be discussed in these breakout rooms. And then Steffi and Leo, do you maybe want to then start with saying a bit about your challenge and what help you are hoping for?
Definitely. So one of our visions or dreams is that we would like to build a food supply network that we can offer specific social ecological products from different small producers within our cafe and association. So as an example, we want to have a good olive oil from a small producer that might be producing in the north of Italy, and that we're aware of what it is that they're doing, and that we know that it's social and ecological. And for this, we would like to do this for all the different products that we have and use in our cafe. The current reality is that this demands a huge investment of resources, such as human resources, such as time, logistics, and of course, finance that we don't have. And we're happy to be within this community. And we would really like to know your ideas and experiences. Maybe you do have something similar, or you know how we can overcome these challenges. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So that will be discussed in one of the breakout rooms. And then the other breakout rooms will include a challenge from Alex, who's also raised his hand. So Alex, do you want to present your challenge?
Actually, I wanted to reply to this one, but it's not going to be possible to do both. Yeah,
that's true. You are the only two who will definitely not be in the same. That's unfortunate, but we'll catch up afterwards.
Steffi and Leo, I have a great suggestion for you from an experience here. So, okay, I don't have it in writing, I think.
Which is fine. In the room, we'll also have it in writing again. So if you can just briefly verbally present it,
okay,
so that people know where to go.
It goes back to the question of Raquel from Espigoladores. It has to do with the gleaning challenge here in Greece. We are a agricultural still producing country with lots of fresh produce. We have tried many things to activate this here in Greece. But it has not been very successful. We know for a fact that we could do so much more, save so much more from the fields and orchards. But some characteristics of the Greek agricultural sector, like most of the farmers being of older age, most of them being on their own, not dealing with companies that have resources to deal with sharing and saving. As well as the fact that often fields are far away from cities where you have the beneficiaries that actually could benefit from this food saving. Despite our best efforts, we were not able to create an efficient, a big gleaning program. So that is a big challenge that we have had for many years and have been unfortunately not very able to solve. Okay.